Sup shitters, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to this Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out a track for an act named Numinous and Archimedes titled Voodoo on My Blood, cover of Massive Attack, Young Fathers. And if we switch over to here, I've got a little bit of information I want to read out just so that I get this right. So I've got some information about it. It's another AI generated music video and a cover of Massive Attack, Young Fathers' beautiful song Voodoo on My Blood. Vocals by bandmate Force Jones. The AI track was influenced by the Massive Attack track as well, so the entire video is all AI generated except the vocals, which were done in post. The AI video was also done in timing to the music somewhat. So, as per usual from Numinous and Archimedes, we've got some really interesting stuff going on here, as not often I get to listen to music and watch videos that are AI affected, like AI generated, but I'm nonetheless enjoying my time learning more about it. It's also worth noting that I'm going to put the website in the end page, but go check out the Numinous and Archimedes website if you get the opportunity. But anyways, we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, hear what we think. Let's go. Voodoo in My Blood. It's cool what computers can do, eh? Oh no, this is some wild stuff, man. Look at this. Kind of a dissonant kind of hum, isn't it? Like you're in a beehive of some sort. I like that motif there. It's working really well. It's not. It makes sense. You know, you can follow it and rationalize it. Interesting drum tone there. I still have many questions about the way this was done. Oh, vocals? Oh no, the vocals are in post, right? Oh, that bass there? That bass is highly unsettling. It sounds like we're going into a fever dream in a horror film. Kind of sounds like those drum takes are reversed. Probably the most out there and original music I've heard in quite a while. I mean, I want to talk about the video as well. The video is an acid trip. In the kindest possible way, by the way. I think it's really cool stuff. Like, it makes you wonder where the line blurs between human creativity and what's possible when you have endless possibilities. I like the bits of resonance and the unusual way that those frequencies highlight themselves, especially in those low mids. You know, there's a set groove there. You can hear that chord note kind of vibe to it. Are those some strings? They've been played quite quickly, but they sound salient. I think if you were not aware that this was made like this, you'd be like, oh, okay, someone's just doing some really experimental avant-garde kind of stuff. I think that experimentation is welcome. I think if you stay too sort of safe with what you're doing, it's a detriment. And we've just got it. It just popped in and out. What a ride, man. Voodoo in My Blood, created with Google AI at Pollinations AI with thanks. Wow, man. What do I want to say about this? Because this is my review of Voodoo in My Blood from Numinous and Archimedes. The cover of Massive Attack, Young Fathers. I'm not quite sure what this track was about. I'll be honest, I haven't heard the original, so maybe that is to a detriment. I kind of feel like I need to listen to the original though to really compare. Okay, I can hear some of those dissonances in what we were listening to before. I'm very careful about playing too much of another track just so that we don't have any copyright issues, but I'm not sure what Voodoo on My Blood is about because I couldn't really understand the lyrics in this song. But that's okay. That's alright. We went on an adventure today. There was some dissonant, unsettling, but nonetheless respectable and impressive vocals going on there. I mean, I'm just kind of coming to terms with how this is all made. I know I've said that like 3 times here, and I've said this with previous tracks in Numinous and Archimedes. I'm wondering how long it will take before a lot of this becomes normal. I know that a lot of the mixing and mastering side of things, especially with like iZotope and stuff like that, they've got technology now which can like figure out what you need without you having to do anything. You just press a setting and it'll just make it sound a certain way, sound quote unquote professional. And you've also got mastering AI and stuff like that in general via websites and stuff. So we're getting there. So I'm not sure what the story is about. The vocal performance itself sounded tuneful and made sense with the rest of the elements in the arrangement. I don't even know how you grade a vocal performance from like the way it's been produced and put in there. I think that it was competent. We sounded comfortable within our range, but how much of it was what? How much of it was what, you know? I think that the tone of the vocals matched the rest of the elements within the mix. Yeah, it's not a very academic conclusion so far. The structure of this track, I think it reflected the original, but it also could well have been through composed. How do you define the line between through composed and a traditional contemporary sort of like, you know, song structure when you have, you're trying to process what that even is in the first place, you know? Where does the line blur? Nonetheless, I think the structure was compelling and engaging. You know, like if you could have AI completely generate a song using components, like would they usually do a contemporary structure or would they usually do a through composed one? Would they think of a structure that hadn't been done before? Because that was quote unquote the best one. I'm not sure. This is stuff we're going to learn about. You know, the main motif was compelling, although again, the dissonance in there and the tenseness and how coarse it was at some points made it not uncomfortable or like a lesser listening experience. It just made me sort of think about it and ponder it for a bit, you know? It makes you kind of wonder what you're doing when you're even making music and how it compares to this. The arrangement and the structure of it, we had drums and bass and synths and stuff like that. I mean, I heard different elements of it. I think we had some strings in there as well. I like the choices texture-wise that we had with it. It kind of sounded like we were almost hesitant to have more of an attack with like the drums, for example. But the strings were a bit more perky to contrast that. It was like we were almost trying to have everything the same intensity as opposed to like having the different instruments having different textures and allowing them to fit in at different points. Which ironically probably makes a lot of sense, you know, if you have each track that's the quote unquote maybe the best way to do it. I don't know. It's weird. What is the best way? What is not the best way? These are questions we're going to find out over time. I suppose I'd have to listen through it a few times. This has got replay value for sure. Like, it will make you ponder, like, where you want to, like, focus your instruments on. And maybe there may be composers who learn from the AI that generate this stuff, how to make their own music better. I wouldn't say this is necessarily my favorite song that I've ever heard, but the possibilities interest me greatly. And I think that it's nonetheless incredibly impressive what we've managed to do with this. And I have to hand it to Numinous and Archimedes. They're one of the most fascinating acts I listen to on that I've reviewed repeatedly. It's never a bad time. It's always new and novel. And I don't see that changing, even if things became more commonplace with the way this was done. It is just so unpredictable. The production, recording, mixing, and mastering, it was nice and full sounding and loud. I mean, it, I don't even know how far we go with like the EQing and stuff like that. I don't know how we go with mixing and mastering and make it sound loud. How do we decide all of this? Where is the limit there? Where is the limit between what the person puts in and what they get to listen to? The panning was nice and wide, you know, you had stuff all around the headphones. I would have liked maybe a little bit more clarity in some of those harder sort of percussive elements, but aside from that, it's fine, you know. The vocals sounded trippy as heck, man. I'm not sure how to approach those, but I still have lots of love for the fact that we even put those in and that we were able to somehow slot them in amongst all the everything else going on. Voodoo in My Blood, cover of Massive Attack Young Fathers. I mean, I'm gonna have to think about this for the rest of the night. I said that last time and I thought about it. I think this is just maybe an exposure thing. A big question for me when I listen to this stuff is there an audience for it? And I think that there'll be some people that listen to this out of morbid curiosity. There'll be some people that listen to this and think, oh, am I going to have a job in 10 years? And I mean this in like a nice way, in a kind way. I'm not like saying that we should run away, the machines are out to get us. What I mean is that like, you know, are people just a little bit too sort of comfortable with the idea that machines can't maybe necessarily do quote unquote artsy stuff because AI art, AI videos, AI music, you know, it's going to happen and we have to come to terms with that. Nonetheless, I mean, I listen to this and I think, yeah, I don't think there's any massive complaints I have about what's going on with the track from a production standpoint, from a performance perspective. I don't even know if you can play a wrong note when you're doing this kind of stuff. Like, is it MIDI oriented and MIDI synced? Like, it's not though, because that would be the computer playing the MIDI though, wouldn't it? I don't know, man. I have so many questions, and I'm sure we'll figure them out, but this is effectively my review of Voodoo in My Blood, cover Massive Attack Young Fathers. It's tricky to review something like this. It's easier to react to it, but at the same time, I'm starting to get more used to it, so even if I was to simply just react to it, it wouldn't necessarily be as intense. It's more sort of like an admiration than anything like that, whilst also appreciating the fact that we've still got more to go. We've still can keep moving forward. They might even get to a point where the AI or whoever can like, or whatever, can create music that is discernibly no different than what we would particularly make. There's no way of telling. And that'll be when it really gets scary, because how do you even know, right? But until then, thank you for watching this review of Inhumanus and Archimedes' Voodoo in My Blood. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go and show them some love via the various social medias, their website and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spider hands up.